Hey, what's happening, everybody? Before we break down Micron, ticker symbol MU, here's my thoughts on what happened in the market today, okay? Since Friday, we've seen a sharp rotation out of semis, memory, and AI. Bonds market got hammered, oil spiked on Middle East tensions, and inflation fears resurfaced. To me, that's a classic scare tactic, but here's what I'm seeing. The same institutional smart money that dumped these stocks are already buying them back on the dip. What do you think is going on with that? In my opinion, they're counting on retail investors that are getting scared to sell at the bottom, handing over discounted shares. So I'm saying don't fall for that and be patient. Your runway's long, okay? Remember that. The payoff could just be weeks away, maybe a couple months. As Warren Buffett said, the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient, okay? So that's a reminder. So please check your emotions, stay sensible. Also, banks just dropped strong earnings report. CPI numbers are pushing the market higher today, even though institutions already know that CPI is backward looking. And today we're facing oil screaming upwards. So what does that tell me? I mean, that's the future inflation is coming our way. And yet, even with all that, emotion-driven institutional buyers are already flooding back in to buy today. So what I'm saying is protect your capital, be smart. And now let's go ahead and see what's actually going on with Micron. But before we do, hey, if you haven't yet, click that like button for me, click the subscribe, and let's dig into it. All right, so I've got Micron pulled up here on Google Finance. They closed today $983, up 4%, almost 5% there. $46, not a bad move for coming back up, but of course dipped a little bit, about 1/3% in the after hours trading. Not too big of a deal there. If we take a look at their analysis here, I'm going to go ahead and scroll down. Let's see, we've got 29 buy ratings, 1 hold and 0 sell. We have right here KeyBank, John Vin. I believe he had just, today, July 14th, he had just pushed the price target up to $1,750 from KeyBank. Looking good there. TD Cowen, Krish Sankar, $1,600 rating. Harlan Sir at JP Morgan at $1,540. We've got $1,300 by Mark Lee. We've got $1,550 by Vivek Ara at B of A. And then we have DBS at $1,400. We have Jim Hin Kwang Ao, DBS, $1,400. We've got CJ Musa at Cantor Fitzgerald at $2,000. Wow, $2,000. That's super bullish there, and that was just at the end of June as well. We have Yik Ban Chong at Phillip Securities, $1,870. So that's enough. I mean, that's a lot of bullish analysts here. As you can tell, I mean, the projection is up 90, 100%. I mean, twice double their current price right now. I mean, if that's not bullish enough for you from these experts, I don't know what is. I'm bullish on Micron. Let's go and see what some of these articles got to tell us. But before we do, I've got this AI thing right here on Yahoo that tells us Micron Technology is at the forefront of a projected 700 billion chip profit boom driven by robust demand for AI infrastructure. Recent investment and strategic partnerships signal potential supply bottlenecks, while market dynamics continue to influence stock performance amidst broader sector volatility. Market response to inflation data. Micron stock rose following a cooler than expected June core CPI report indicating that lower inflation could enhance chip valuations. Now, take that with a grain of salt. Remember what I told you all. The institutional buyers, they understand that the CPI report is looking backwards, obviously, because oil price went down. Remember, it went down from the 90s to the 70s, and then, of course, with the recent news, it's starting to climb again. However, that didn't stop these institutional buyers from starting to accumulate Micron, because they know that Micron at this price is at a huge discount right now. They can't resist that. And then moving into sector performance insights, despite Micron's strong performance, broader market dynamics, including tension in the Middle East and supply issues at SK Hynix, have created volatility in the memory stock. Analyst sentiment, analysts maintain a positive outlook on Micron, with targets suggesting significant upside potential amidst ongoing AI demand. Of course, has the fundamentals changed with Micron since their earnings call that blasted them up into the 1200 range? No, of course not. In fact, I mean, everything still hasn't even played out yet. We're talking about the 16 service agreement contracts that they've got going on, how they're trying to expand into different revenue sources, how they're trying to expand into getting away from being a cyclical commodity business and more into an AI infrastructure company. So just remember, I mean, just because the stock is down doesn't mean that the fundamentals are gone. Let's take a look right here what Barron's got for us. It says Micron stock jumps. Why can't it rise another 90%. And I'm going to just hit these key points for us real quick. Micron Technology shares rose following a 4.3% drop on Monday. Key bank analyst John Vin, which we had just covered in that Yahoo Finance analyst rating, his price target on Micron to 1750 from 1600, indicating an 87% increase from Monday's close. Vin expects a tight memory environment through 2027 with high bandwidth memory prices set to more than double next year. And of course, if you haven't watched yet, I put out a video just earlier on SK Hynix and how they're pushing out into NASDAQ. They've got their stocks there in the American exchange now. And then, of course, they've got all sorts of pricing power, right? Memory stocks have pricing power right now because they're sold out. And then right here is even more indication. It's indicative of the fact that they are going to be able to make so much more money because they are able to set their prices to double next year. That's just amazing to me. But of course, how long could that go for? And that's what all these investors are thinking right now. That's what's crossing their minds. But of course, we'll see how that has to play out, right? I mean, again, we haven't gone into physical AI, we haven't gone into robotics, we haven't gone into any of the space data centers, etc. So, moving forward, here I've got something pulled up on Perplexity, and they tell us exactly what happened today, July 14th. Micron Technology rallies sharply, rebounding from a recent pullback as cooler than expected CPI lifted sentiment across NASDAQ and rate sensitive growth stocks. Adding to the bullish backdrop, KeyBank raised its price target on Micron, and so we had covered all that already. One more thing here, Micron's pricing power via long-term supply deals and its strategic stake in Global Wafers as evidence of supply chain fortification. The move comes as investors look past Monday's semiconductor sell-off triggered by SK Hynix Nasdaq debut, sparking profit-taking and Iran-related geopolitical jitters, with attention now turning to Taiwan Semiconductor's TSMC's Q2 earnings Thursday as a key read for the AI memory demand. So keep that circled on your calendar as well. Okay, Taiwan Semiconductor's earnings call coming out Thursday, and they are essentially used as a proxy for how the AI world's going. Okay, because they make everybody's chips. Okay, they make NVIDIA's, they make AMD's, etc. Okay, so keep an eye out on that one. Let's move into this article right here, and I love this one because it says MU Micron versus SNDK, which is SanDisk, versus SKHYV, which is SK Hynix, versus STX, which is Seagate. And they're just pretty much putting all these memory companies side by side. I like that. Retail traders pick clear memory stock winners over the next year. Booming demand for high bandwidth memory, HBM used in AI accelerator, has driven strong pricing, record earnings expectations, and optimism over sustained AI infrastructure spending. We all know that already. Micron remains the top name that most traders are eyeing in the current scenario. SK Hynix entry in the United States market last week has altered the landscape, giving U.S. investors more options. With SK Hynix jumping into the fold, the U.S. memory trade has become even more interesting and high stakes than before. So, of course, that's a given. With SK Hynix here now in the American Stock Exchange, there's going to be some diversification there. But I mean, there's still fair game. There's still plenty of money to be made for everybody right now. Right here says retail traders favor Micron. So based on ongoing StockWith poll, Micron remains the top name that majority of the traders are eyeing in the current scenario. About 57% of 2,400 who voted said they expect the U.S. stock or the U.S. memory chip maker to emerge as the best performer in 2027. I would certainly agree with that because of the fact that, I mean, they're making their way up. They're gaining ground on SK Hynix and Samsung in the memory market. And then you got to remember, right, the U.S. CHIP Act, the U.S. federal government wants to push chip manufacturing to an all-time great. Micron is going to be a beneficiary of that. Intel going to be a beneficiary of that. So keep that in mind. With the backing of the U.S. federal government, that is certainly remains a catalyst, and we'll see how that moves forward in the future here. Now, this is what we truly want to see here, right? I mean, we want to figure out exactly how they're performing in the charts. There's no bias here. The chart is telling us exactly, I mean, it's putting its finger on what's happening with Micron, what's happening with stocks. I mean, no opinions needed, all data here. But you know what? Instead of going through this one right here on TradingView, because a lot of viewers might not use TradingView, but a lot of folks use Yahoo Finance, I'm going to go through what's going on with Yahoo Finance. Okay, so here I've got Micron pulled up on a 1-year view, and we'll go ahead and just pull this right here. Take a look at them, how they've been performing. Of course, the price line right here is in the blue, this blue mountain, that's the price line. This red line, that's the 25-day moving average, okay? And this pinkish line, that's the 100-day moving average. Now, a lot of folks ask me, why do I like the the 25-day and 100-day versus like a 50 and 200-day? I cut it down in half because when I'm looking at these AI stocks, especially parabolic stocks like Micron, I want to get more of a recent trend, so I cut it down. All right. So anyways, let's move into it. Right now, the price line is right there, borderline with the 25-day moving average. It seems like it's going to try to make its way back up. We'll see if it does that. Okay, so keep an eye on that. These histogram bars, these green and red bars, the red shows that there's a lot of selling there. The green shows that it's more being bought in that area. And so, of course, if we track it down, right, for example, this bunch of green right here is what caused this price to jump up to its all-time high in the 1200 range. And then right here, this green is exactly why it's trying to make its way back up towards that 25-day moving average. Nonetheless, it's hovering right there at the 25-day moving average. Not too bad. We'll see if momentum picks up there. And then it's still certainly above the longer moving average. So that means that the bulls are still in control right now. It's still upward momentum. Keep an eye out on that for Micron. Now, if we take a look at the RSI, the 14-day RSI, that tells us two things, okay? If a stock is being oversold or if a stock is being overbought. And anything, the way they look at it is anything over 70 is overbought, anything under 30 is oversold. Right now it's in at 49.75, and as you can tell, I mean, if you just track that line straight down for the past several days, it's been kind of just in that 50 neutral range for now. And of course, that's represented by the price line. It's in that kind of consolidation phase right there. We'll see if it's actually coiling up to actually pop up higher. And the reason why I do think that Micron can pop up higher as it's consolidating here, it's kind of found a floor here, is the fact that we're in earning seasons right now. So any good news from the Mag 7, any good news from going back to Taiwan Semiconductor, any news from Intel, any news from semiconductors can pop this stock going upwards with sympathy trading as well. So keep an eye on Micron for that, especially because right now they're consolidating, they're coiling up in this area. And then if we take a look at the MACD line, the MACD line is actually this white line right here. And of course, any time that it's under the red line, that means that it's on a downward trend. And it's represented by these red histogram bars right here. It's down, it's on a downward trend right now. It's trying to pick back up with these green right here. But of course, one thing you want to keep in mind is that when it goes down, it's going to want to try to make its way back up, especially if it gets any type of going back to the catalyst or any type of sympathy trading from the other semiconductor stocks. For example, if we move backwards just a little bit, we'll see if we've got something there that'll give us an example, right? If you take a look right here, so right here it is well underneath the red signal line, and then it starts to pick its way back up as it starts to find some green, and then it starts to pick up momentum. I am hoping for Micron, and especially you Micron lovers or those of you who are holding Micron stock right now, that it's going to start to make its way back up, just like what I had just shown you all going backward. I don't remember when that was, like April or something like that. So this is the 1-year view. You know what? Let's go ahead and let's just move into the 5-day view. So here we've got the 5-day trend, and if you take a look, we've same thing here. The red is the 25-day moving average. The light reddish or pinkish is the 100-day moving average. And for the most part, what you want to see is for that blue line, the price line, to be hovering on top of the red line for upward momentum. Of course, it has come down a little bit below both the moving averages and then try to make its way back up. And you can kind of tell by the RSI as well. You can tell we've got a lot of overbuying right here, which has caused this to jump up, and then it starts to come down as it starts to sell off and profit take, and that's what causes it to come down below the moving average. If you take a look, right, the RSI at this point at the low was at about 18, 19 RSI, And so a lot of overselling right there from the profit taking, and then it tries to continue to find its way back. If we go back to the 1 month view again, right, I mean, this is where you're going to see the consolidation. That's exactly what's happening right now in the 1 month view. So, but as far as the 5-day view, this is going to be more if you're going to be trading within the week, right? This is something you want to know. You're a swing trader, day trader, something you want to kind of keep an eye on the most recent trend. But of course, if you're going to be buying for the longer term or for the next few months out, right, you want to take a look at more of a longer term view. And then if you all take a look, this is the 1 day view. Of course, it started up here, drops down hard. And then, of course, CPI news comes out. Financial earnings come out. I'm talking about JP Morgan. I'm talking about Citigroup. I'm talking about Goldman Sachs. I'm talking about Wells Fargo. Things are looking good, so they end up climbing back up, shoots up, profit takes a little bit, and then starts to make its way up, rides on top of the 25-day moving average. So bullish sentiment for a lot of the day. If you are into the trading on a real quick basis, day trading, scalping, or anything like that, you're probably going to be looking at this type of view more often. And then if you take a look at the RSI, right, I mean, it's been kind of just juggling throughout the day, was kind of moving up high. That's what shows this price line going up right there, up in the 87, close to 90 range, and then of course working its way back to being more in the neutral right there. And then we don't really have the MACD right here, but if we go to the trading view, we can see it on a 1 day, the MACD, and I'll zoom right into it. But of course, this is the post trading right here, as well as making its way back up. Of course, the MACD line was below the signal line for the most part, but of course, post trading, it's making its way back up, hovering above a little bit as well. So that's where we have it right now for Micron. If you're asking me what I think about Micron, just remember, okay, I am bullish on Micron for several different reasons. If you take a look at the analyst targets, okay, those are the institutions, those are the analysts that we look at to see how far up this stock can actually climb up within the next 12 months, okay? On top of that, okay, number two, we've got the fundamentals with Micron. Nothing has changed since their last earnings call where they actually skyrocketed up. Let's take a look at it right here, where they actually skyrocketed up to this level right here, okay? So nothing has happened to their fundamentals. They're looking good. Everything is because right now there's a lot of sentiment with the semiconductors valuations, and then on top of that, oil, inflation, all those things are impacting it. We'll see if this earnings season for this month right here can actually drive those stocks upwards for Micron. And then just remember, they still have the pricing power. They still have the sellout memory. They're still partnered up with NVDA. They still have the 16 service contract agreements moving into the future with robotics and physical AI. So certainly for the next couple of years, I think Micron's still good. Even for the near term, this is going to be a discounted buy, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, I hope that everything I walked you all through in the charts give you what you need to make your decisions right. Be patient, be wise with your move. Click that like button for me. Click the subscribe button for me if this helped you out. I'll see you all again next time. Great luck.